Jupiter, oh, a beautiful planet. I love to see these images, these computer-enhanced images taken from several different craft. The storm, this red eye that we see on Jupiter, this storm, apparently unlike any storm we've ever seen on Earth, because this storm was first recorded over 3,000 years ago by Chinese astronomers. And it has been continuously raging in the atmosphere of Jupiter for approximately 3,000 years. Well, as you can see, this storm, the giant red eye in this storm, has a rotational component. You can see that there's a feel of a rotation on that component, or a rotational component on this storm. For over 3,000 years, astronomers have seen that rotation in a very specific direction. Something interesting happened in 1986, 1987, synchronistically, perhaps, just about the same time that the sun began going through its changes with the increase in the solar flares and the X-ray bursts. This giant storm began to rotate in the opposite direction and continues to do so today. What would cause a rotation, a shift in an atmospheric phenomenon that has been constant for at least 3,000 years? What would cause that? Well, again, in 1994, not long after the Ulysses craft measured the magnetic fields of the sun, you and I witnessed an outrageous phenomenon by any standards on the giant of Jupiter, as we saw through our live cameras a single fragment of something. And right now, we're not even sure what that something was. Some people believe it may have been a comet. Some believe it may have been an asteroid of some kind. A single body moving quickly toward this giant. And within a few days of impact, that single fragment breaking into 21 separate fragments. And those 21 fragments impacting the surface, the gaseous atmosphere and the surface of the Jovian atmosphere. We saw that. We witnessed this rare event live in real time. Scientists speculated that this phenomenon would affect Earth in several ways. They speculated that, first of all, that the water vapor in Earth's atmosphere would be affected, and it would rearrange that water vapor, shifting the weather patterns on the Earth. And that's precisely what happened. We've seen that. We're still seeing the effects from that. Scientists also speculated that the magnetic fields of the Earth may, in fact, be impacted by the shock waves. Every time one of these fragments struck the Jovian atmosphere, a shock wave traveled across interstellar space, essentially striking Earth each time one of these fragments struck Jupiter. 21 fragments struck Jupiter. Earth was hit 21 times by 21 wave fronts within rapid succession. The magnetic fields of the Earth were indeed impacted. And you'll see in just a few minutes why that's important, why you care, what these phenomena mean to you, to your emotional state of being, to your feeling world, to the relationships, the interpersonal relationships, to the genetic makeup of your being. As dissimilar as this information may appear, the reality is that all the phenomena that we are speaking of now are directly related and in support of a process. And it's a process that you are living in your world, in your lives, in your bodies in this moment. And all of these phenomena, I believe, are byproducts of a much greater phenomenon that is occurring within here. That's where we'll be going with this for the next couple of hours. The shock waves in Jupiter. This is a computer-enhanced image of one of the shock waves from the point of impact, and you can see the wave radiating out through the Jovian atmosphere, through the gases of the atmosphere, and then on into, across space, into the proximity of the Earth. The planets in the outer reaches of our solar system, there is a phenomenon, there's a mystery that's unfolding with our Earth scientists right now. In the past, up until the present time, we have always believed that the planets in our solar system were heated through the radiant heating process of our sun, our local star, radiating heat through tremendous expanses, vast expanses of space. Well, there's an interesting phenomenon that's happening now in that our sun is cooling. It's actually cooling down, another part of the phenomenon that the Ulysses craft is investigating. And while the sun is cooling, the planets, and especially the planets in the outer reaches of our solar system, are heating up. There is a heat that is coming from an internal source that is not well understood in the past. In these planets, the mystery is, where's that heat coming from? Why are these planets heating up now? If it's not coming from the radiant heat of the sun, what is generating the heat within these planets? Well, to understand really what all of this information is all about, we may study out there. We can look out into the outer reaches of interstellar space, and we are finding information that is useful to us. Right on our own Earth, in our own Earth, is where we're really beginning to understand the meaning of what phenomenon mean. And I'll be very clear about this right now. For me, understanding the meaning of the events as they're unfolding in our lives provides a context. And it is within that context that you and I will move very quickly beyond the charts and the graphs and the magnetics and the frequencies and all the things, all the technical things that we're speaking now. We'll move beyond that into the very real, the very feeling, the very emotional world of our day-to-day lives and our relationships, and why those patterns, why the patterns of relationship are shifting so quickly right now, and what that means to the genetic makeup of our bodies as we approach this time that the ancients called the shift of the ages. So this is where we're going with this information. We're providing a context within which everything that we will do for the rest of the afternoon will hang as within the framework of this context. As we look at the Earth, we are seeing unprecedented phenomena unfolding throughout the systems of energy that allow Earth to be Earth. Social systems, political systems, economic systems, geological systems, meteorological systems, agricultural systems. As different as they all seem, they are simply patterns of energy, patterns of information that are bound together, held in place through common threads of vibratory experience. And those threads are shifting. As they do, Earth shifts in response to those threads. Now this is a map, a portion of a map of the tectonic makeup of the surface of the Earth. The tectonic plates that move and slip over the inner portions of the Earth, allowing Earth the expression of crustal features. And what you're seeing, if you were able to see this clearly on your screen, you would see along each of these plate boundaries a series of red dots. Each one of those dots represents a seismic event. And what we're seeing is that we have an unprecedented number of seismic events, earthquake activity, occurring globally in our world right now. Some you hear about if it's local, if it's in North America. Recently, within the last year and a half, we have had earthquakes throughout the Midwest, Indiana, Missouri, Kentucky, in the Northeast and upstate New York. Something interesting is happening in California. When I had the opportunity to work as a geologist for Phillips Petroleum in the, well, it was in the mid to late 1970s, there was a number, a telephone number, a hotline that you could call for the United States Geologic Survey. And on that hotline, daily, they would report the numbers of seismic events occurring in different parts of the country. So in California, for example, they would say level 1 on the Richter scale, we had 5 seismic events. Level 2, we had 3, or whatever it was. Well, recently, USGS has had to stop that service for level 1, level 2, and level 3 events because there are so many of them they cannot discern where one ends and another begins. It sounds to the researchers, it sounds like one continuous rumble under the surface of the Earth with not much break in between. That's the good news. What that means is that the crustal pressures are being relieved gradually as we would choose for them to be without much notice. We've never seen this happen before. Other parts of the world, in Japan in 1994, there was an event, a phenomenon. Through geologic standards, it's outrageous. If you weren't following the tech journals, you probably did not see much of this piece of information.